Maya Stewart, and this is my database presentation. So today we're going to talk about PostSQL for Linux. It is an advanced open source relational database management system that is widely used on Linux due to its robustness, extensibility, and compliance with SQL standards, and is designed for high performance, relatability, and scalability, making it ideal for enterprise applications, web development, and data analytics. Some features of PostSQL is that it's open source and free. It is released under a license, making it freely available for use and modification. Number 2, the ACID compliance ensures data integrity with atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. Extensibility supports custom functions, procedural languages, and third-party extensions like PostGIS. Number 4, high performance. It offers indexing methods, parallel query execution, and optimization techniques for handling large data sets. Number 5, it has security. It provides authentication mechanisms like SSL encryption, role-based access control, and auditing features. It has replication and high availability, supports streaming replication, logical replication, and failover solutions for scalability and reliability. Finally, JSON and NoSQL capabilities. It allows storage and querying of data alongside traditional relational data. So for some hardening recommendations, one would be avoid relaxed listening address settings. Due to it running as a server process and people want to connect to the database, the question is, where are those connections coming from? The listening address setting, which can be found in PostgreSQL, controls those binding addresses. In other words, if listening address is set to an asterisk, PostSQL will listen on all network devices, consider those connections, and move on to the next stage. So to recommendations to avoid listening on all devices, use only local connections that are needed. So set listen address to localhost, and remote connections that are needed, set listen address to localhost space. If you don't listen at all, you're definitely more secure. It won't even have to reject your connection if you're already limiting network access. So number 2 for a hardening recommendation, restrict super user access as much as possible. It is always good if the number of people who have administrative access to a security critical system is limited as possible. How far you want to go depends on your security needs. Harden the database machine so that nobody except database administrators can get shell access to the machine. Whoever has shell access as a PostSQL operating system user has full control over the database. Use personalized super user accounts for the administrators so that you can quickly revoke access to an administrator when needed. Use super users only when really required. For example, you don't need a super user for replication connections or to take a backup. Restrict access with super user accounts. Ideally, only local connections are allowed. If you don't want that, restrict access to the personal system of the administrator. And then for very high security requirements, make sure that nobody knows the super user password, but place it in a safe that can only be opened by at least 2 people. Change the password after every use. In general, using super users is dangerous. For a recommendation, never ever run applications as a super user. Limit super user as much as possible. For the third hardening recommendation, avoid alter use set password. Changing a password in PostgreSQL is easy. Most people use alter use ... set password to do that. However, there is a problem with this. The SQL statement ends up in your database log in plain text, which is a major issue. For recommendation, use your posted SQL client's facilities for changing passwords rather than the alter function. For example, it has a password and pgadmin has a change password dialog. This recommendation may seem absurd, however, there is some reason behind it. To change the password, there is a protocol support which bypasses the problem of plain text passwords in the log by doing things visually and not in plain text SQL. Most GUIs will fix the problem for you. And that's a link that prohibits alter use ... set password explicitly to avoid the risk passwords in the log stream. So to download and configure, you're going to use ATP, sudo apt update, and then sudo apt install PostgreSQL, and that will download the package for you. And then the PSQL tool is a command line client for the operation. The Postgres package also includes PSQL. We can use it to enter SQL statements and perform administrative tasks. In particular, the server's host and port, a user, and a database are necessary to connect. However, we may skip the host and port and connect to the default server. In the same way, we can omit the username and use a system user with sudo -s. So that's all I have, and I have my sources. So thank you on watching my database presentation on PostgreSQL.